So with Dana White cutting down on the double champ status, Ilia Topuria vacating the featherweight title, and a lot of other crazy stuff going on in the last couple of weeks, we have got a lot to chew on this bone. But before we do that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, you drop a like, and without further ado, let's get into it. So on Saturday night after Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong, Dana White hit the press conference and came out and talked about double champ statuses. Obviously, Ilia Topuria was made to vacate the featherweight title before he goes into lightweight to try and go for a title shot against Islam Makhachev.
I mean, yeah, unless you've really wiped out a division and you know, like John Jones, who was in lightweight forever and then moved up to heavyweight. Ilia, I get it. It makes sense, you know, when I, like I said, who he's beat and how he beat him, and now he's tired of making weight and wants to move up to 50. Totally makes sense. But no, I'm definitely, Weili Zhang that just asked me, she's accomplished just about everything you can accomplish in her weight division, and I don't have a problem with it, you know. But I haven't, the philosophy hasn't changed. It's just on a case-by-case basis. And if there's a guy that thinks he can do it and wants to defend both belts and has accomplished all these great things, I would have no problem with it.
Any instance of double champ status seems to be a reoccurring thing at the moment, where anybody wins a title, automatically straight away they want to go for that double champ status. And we get it. It's notorious, it's renowned, it's a legendary thing that you can go for, and it's going to leave a legacy behind you if you manage to go up there and achieve it. But from Dana White's perspective, it's probably got to stop being so accessible and so frequent. People like Ilia Topuria, for instance, yes, he beat Alexander Volkanovski. Yes, he knocked out Max Holloway, the first one to do it. But does that mean you shouldn't have to defend the featherweight title and move up and get a shot at the lightweight title automatically? You even go all the way back to Conor McGregor, who vacated, or never even vacated, who became the first double champ, beat Jose Aldo, who arguably should have had a rematch and never got it. It's probably one of the craziest things that we've ever seen, where somebody like Jose Aldo, who defended that belt for so long, never had an automatic rematch to try and win his title back. Anyway, Conor McGregor won that belt and moved on to go and fight for the lightweight title straight away. Never had to defend the featherweight title once, went and got the lightweight title, and then obviously the rest is history with Conor McGregor. I'm sick of talking about that dude, so let's put that to the side. But in more recent news, as Ilia Topuria is now moving up, that has opened up the vacant featherweight title for Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. Now, some people don't believe that Diego Lopes should be worthy of that title shot. Some people believe it should be Movsar Evloev. And you could make the argument for either fighter getting it. It also just depends on how you're going to go and look at that. A lot of people look at entertainment value over where your position is and how many winning streaks you've got. You know what I mean? Obviously, the argument for Movsar Evloev is that he is an undefeated fighter who's up there, top of the table, and should be getting this title shot if anybody else shouldn't have been getting it. You've got Alexander Volkanovski, who was looking at the featherweight rematch with Ilia Topuria to go for the title, but again, he's now vacated, so they've lined it up with Diego Lopes. I believe the argument for Diego Lopes is that he has been on an unbelievable tear himself since his debut fight against Movsar Evloev, which, if anything, I'd love to see a rematch to see how that went. He is now getting the shot to go for the vacant featherweight title against Alexander Volkanovski. And the reason for that is he is exciting. Everybody's behind him. The UFC have been pushing him. We all know they pick certain fighters that get pushed forward up through the rankings. You go and you look at, well, not up through the rankings, but they get matchups, and not always favorable ones. You know what I mean? Like Diego Lopes had to step up against Dan Ige. Well, Dan Ige stepped up against Diego Lopes on short notice, and it was one hell of a fight. He also then went against Brian Ortega, knocked him out and woke him up with 2 punches. You know what I mean? It's like, the dude is entertaining. He has star value, and the UFC know that. And what we need to remember at the end of the day, folks, is this is entertainment. Otherwise, would we watch it? Probably. Like, we just like people scrapping. But at the same time, I can understand where the argument's coming from. There was another featherweight fighter that took to Twitter and made a comment himself, and that man is Aljamain Sterling. Basically said that he doesn't think, not that he doesn't think that Evloev should be getting the fight, but also that Movsar Evloev was kind of robbed of a title opportunity. So let's take a quick look at that just now. Combat Sports Insider posted onto Twitter saying, hate to say it, but, or X, whatever you want to call it, hate to say it, but Movsar Evloev got robbed of a title shot. Being 19-0 with a win over Lopes and his last 2 wins being over Aljo and Allen is much more impressive than beating Ortega in 3 hours' notice, Dan Ige. Some people would disagree. He beat Lopez on Lopez's debut, and it was a very close fight. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like Movsar Evloev absolutely steamrolled him through 3 rounds. For a debut fight coming from Diego Lopez, it was very close, and I'd love to see them run it back. You could argue that Movsar Evloev having 19-0 record is more impressive than what we've seen Lopez do, but as mentioned previously, this is what they do. They get somebody that they like, who's favourable with the fans, and they'll push them forward, and he's also very entertaining to watch. And he's also a very good fighter. I'm not mad at it. I'm quite interested in Volkanovski versus Lopez. It's a good fight. Volkanovski versus Movsar Evloev, we're just going to see another wrestling match. And I like the grappling. I like it when he goes down to the ground. I like the jiu-jitsu. I like the wrestling. I'm not one of these guys that are like, boring, stand them up. You know what I mean? That's not me. But Movsar Evloev versus Volkanovski was not going to be an interesting matchup. Like, all we were going to see is Movsar grapple Volk consistently, Volk then trying to survive. Kind of like, I mean, that Islam fight, the first fight, was phenomenal. But it's just going to be a lot of that. You know what I mean? It's going to be 5 rounds of that. Like, we're not going to see Volk get knocked out by Movsar Evloev now, are we? But we could potentially see Volk get knocked out by Diego Lopez, and that is a star in the making, and they will push him on that. This is what the whole argument about. Anyway, Aljamain Sterling retweeted or quote tweeted this post from Combat Sports Insider. Hey, Combat Sports Insider. Anyway, Aljamain Sterling said, definitely should have been Movsar, but of course, no fighter in their rightful mind will ever turn down a title shot because they think it's the right thing to do, so that someone more deserving gets it. 100%. Ain't nobody ever going to turn down a title fight because they think, oh, he's more deserving, let's give it to him. Especially, he's more deserving and he's beat me before. Nah, like, you're going to step on toes. It's part of the business. You're going to try and do what's best for your career. And, of course, as a fighter, you're going to want to go for that title shot. It makes 100% sense to me anyway. In response to this, he received some beef from Diego Lopez himself, as well as another man called Jason House. Jason House replied saying, more deserving, ? You don't get what you deserve. You get what you earn. Diego won 5 fights in 16 months, including a win over the number 3 ranked fighter in the world. The right thing to do is to stop complaining on social media and just be happy to see good things happening to good people. So there's a good part of that argument. 5 fights in 16 months, that activity is crazy. And winning all of them too, especially against number 3 ranked. We've seen number 10 ranked fighters get a title shot before. This isn't anything new. And I don't fully think Aljamain here is moaning. He's literally just stating facts. Definitely should have been Movsar, and that's his opinion, based on Movsar's record and the people that he's beat as well. Like, it's one of those. It could have been one or the other, and people are getting their arms up about which one it's going to be. The UFC have gone with a more entertaining fight, in my opinion. So Aljamain didn't even respond to Jason House at this point. Diego Lopez also responded to Aljamain's tweet with laughing face emojis. Underneath that, a Twitter user commented called Strong Machine JK, saying, he's right, Diego. Movsar did more to earn the opportunity that you have been handed. You are not the most deserving contender, and the division suffers because of it. Now, I wouldn't completely agree with that comment, but that was picked up on, and that was quote tweeted by Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain said, exactly, I'm confused on the joke. Please let us in on the joke, Diego. You got the shot over the guy who beat you. Be grateful and make the most of your opportunity. Jason House then picked up on this one again, saying, we're laughing at how bothered you are by our success. Diego has 5 wins in 16 months. Movsar has 4 wins in 4 years. Diego beat higher ranked competition as well. Your sole argument is that Movsar barely beat Diego when he had 4 days to prepare. Don't get better, get better. Now, this goes back to what I was saying before as well. 16 months, 5 fights. Movsar has 4 wins in 4 years. Activity is definitely taking a factor in this one. Aljamain Sterling then responded to Jason House again by saying, you sound like a good old houseboy right now, talking tough to a guy you will see very soon. I hope you talk tough then, my boy. Don't bring security and don't ask the UFC to keep me out of events because you're writing a check your ass can't cash. I said nothing disrespectful to Lopez, so suck my dick. Which, in all fairness, he didn't say anything disrespectful. He just stated the fact that he's been given an opportunity that arguably could have gone to Evloev instead. Jason House then responds to Aljamain Sterling again by saying, bring security? Keep you out of events? Are you serious? Laughing face emoji. I don't have any ill will towards you, but to sit here and say Diego doesn't deserve a title shot and questioning his integrity for accepting it is disrespectful and ludicrous. This isn't talking tough. This is speaking facts. Be a better person. Stop putting others down. You of all people know how hard this sport is, so it's crazy to see you talk like this. It seems like Jason House is just getting a little bit butthurt from Aljamain's comments. Like I said at the start, I believe Aljamain was just talking facts. He wasn't trying to be disrespectful. He wasn't having a go at anybody. He wasn't calling anybody out, and Jason's jumped in as a white knight. And now he's kind of backtracking, saying, I'm just stating facts. So what you are saying is disrespectful. It's just a bit of back and forth. But let's keep going. Let's have a look at the further quotes. Aljamain Sterling responds to Jason House once again by saying, learn to fucking read. Nothing I said was rude, disrespectful, or demeaning, etc. Say he's more entertaining than Movsar, sure. But saying he deserves it over him is straight nonsense, and you'd say the same shit if you were Movsar's manager. I don't give a fuck who fights for the title. What they eat don't make me shit. My opinion is valid, and being a house manager shouldn't blind you from the facts. So that was the end of that exchange between those two. But during this exchange of comments back and forth between these guys, Diego Lopes also jumped in again and started firing off at Aljamain Sterling. Another Twitter user had said, D-Fader, all he said is Movsar was the most qualified for the title shot, and he doesn't blame Diego for taking the title shot. Aljamain responded to this comment saying, word, and these knobs, House and Lopes, take that as an insult. Make it make sense, these sensitive mofos. Diego Lopes responded to that comment saying, idiots, question mark, watch your words. You had my respect and you just lost it. Stay that ignorant and annoying next time. Even more so because I just saw that you were threatening people on my team. Same energy. Aljamain replied to that comment by saying, shut the fuck up, bro. You guys can't use reading comprehension. Nothing either of you said makes sense. Talk to me in person. I live in Vegas. It's that simple. We handle it how you decide to. Thumbs up. Diego responds to that comment by saying, see you soon. And then Aljamain responds to that comment by saying, see you, okay. Aljamain then further went on to take a screenshot of the comments, put them up saying, knobs now means idiots. Learning new shit every day. Seems to be that there was a little bit of a language barrier between what Diego was reading to what is translated to him and then what he's gone out and said. But this whole thing has blown up out of proportion. But does this mean that this will line up a potential fight for Diego Lopes versus Aljamain Sterling in the future? If Diego Lopes goes and wins this featherweight title against Alexander Volkanovski, Aljamain Sterling, maybe a win or two more before he could ever get the shot. But maybe this kind of beef, or depending on what comes of it, Diego Lopes will be like, cool, send bro up, let's see what happens. But what I truly think will happen is Diego Lopes is probably going to win the featherweight title. We're going to see Movsar Evloev versus Diego Lopes 2 for the title, and that is going to be one hell of a matchup. Like was mentioned in those comments, Diego stepped up on short notice on his debut and made it a very, very competitive match. The featherweight division is up in the air at the moment. There's a lot of things that are going to be changing because Ilia Topuria has moved. A lot more people are now wanting to get back in the mix and trying to get there towards their title shot. And I can't wait to see it personally. Main one I'm waiting on, my boy Almighty Allen getting back into fighting shape and getting back in there. Another win, and hopefully he should be able to go for a title shot himself after his win over Giga Chikadze at UFC 304. But anyway, going back to this stuff, people, absolute crazy week in MMA. We've had some crazy fight news drop. Some cards have changed. UFC Seattle, which all of this came from, was unbelievable. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is Aljamain right? Is Diego Lopes' team right? Is it literally both sides are right and there isn't actually a wrong side to this? It could have been either one of them. And is the real reason that this has gone ahead is because the UFC have decided Diego's been super active. He's made things happen for them in the last 16 months and he's won 5 fights and he is more entertaining. That's how I'm seeing it. That's where they're going with this fight. So let's touch on Dana White's announcement where he was talking about double champ status. What he was saying is he is not against the double champ status. If people want to go for it, they can go for it, but they have to be deserving of it. There is no more of this, win a fight, get to go for a double champ status. You now have to defend your belt in your division before you can then run off and try and start getting double champ statuses elsewhere. If you don't want to do that, vacate your belt and move on. But what he said is you now have to put in the work to be able to deserve to go and do that, which 100% makes sense. Like, it devalues, and this is coming from Making the Walk, made a very good point when I was watching his channel at one point. If you haven't already subscribed to Making the Walk, go and drop that subscription. Recently dropped a video with John Gooden that was absolutely fantastic. But anyway, back to his point, these double champ statuses without any validation or accreditation of standing around and defending your belt in your weight division devalues that title Like, what is that title if people just going up, getting it, and buggering off and going for the next one? But it seems like it means nothing, where the end goal for all of these people currently seems to be double champ status. That's everything for this video. Drop a subscription, drop a like. As I said, jump into the comments and let me know your thoughts on this Twitter beef and everything that's happened with it. Who do you believe is right? Who do you think is wrong? Do you agree with this matchup? And what matchups do you think we're going to see coming out of the featherweight division now? It is kind of up in the air. Until next time, people, peace.
What's going on, people? Arnold Allen here. Make sure you subscribe to the Rambling Dad podcast. Keep up to date with all his MMA content, fight breakdowns, interviews, and all that stuff. Give him a follow, give him a subscription, and yeah, get over there.